I'm curious though, the middle initial, what was the decision making in that?
So the funny thing, when I first started in real estate, if you know, let's go back for a second. If you know me in high school, it's Andy.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you know me in high school, it's Andy.
Yeah.
When I got my real estate license, we thought, my actual name is Andrew.
Okay.
And my middle name is James. We're a very Catholic family. So it's let's not say I'm a practicing Catholic, but let's just say that my family is very Catholic. So all my brother, me, were named after apostles. So Andrew, James, whatever, right? So anyway, my point was when I first started, I was like Andrew Smith. But then Andrew and Smith were very common.
Yeah.
So the thing is that if Andrew Smith's very common, I'm like, I better add something to it.
Yeah.
So I just added the J when I registered.
Yeah.
And that was just a register. It was not like a play on like Andrew J, like, and then it became like call Andrew J today. And then like, so we spun off all this stuff. We don't use that tagline anymore. Yeah. Now we're like, it's Team Andrew J, blah, 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 whatever. But that was it. And then it just worked. Honestly, now it just works in terms of marketing. It's like AJS and Team AJS. Like even now in today's day and age, like short forming, everything is just cleaner. It's nicer. Yeah. So much appreciated.
Okay. So we're here on the Dial In podcast. So my name is David, founder of Scelta. I'm here today with Andrew J. Smith. He's been in the real estate industry for over 20 years, specializing in pre-construction sales, works with almost a dozen builders here in the city. Probably one of the top pre-construction sales people that we've ever met. And we're very happy to have him.
Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, so just to kick things off, how do you personally dial in when it's time to work?
So, I mean, keep in mind, usually if I'm at the office, right, most of my team will come talk to me about, they'll ask my advice, they'll do all this. So usually for me, my dialed in is usually when I can get a minute to just sit, relax. And honestly, most of the time, that's when everybody leaves the office.
Yeah.
So when everybody's gone, usually like 5, 6 o'clock, that's when I could probably do my most work or my best work and focus in on stuff. And obviously things like having several quad espressos obviously does help too. Yeah. So that does help as well.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So when you're done, you're doing your quarterbacking in the morning, right? Your team comes in and...
That's the thing. Like when you go in, I go in with, obviously, I have my little book here, whatever. I write everything down. I learned that from somebody very, very successful. I learned some skills. And so I do that. So I go in with the idea that I'm going to do these things, but the truth be told, the team always has something. So they'll come in with their questions. Hey, I'm buying this land. What do we should do? How do we handle this? House has been on the market for a couple of weeks. What do we do? What's your suggestions on it? So these are the things that I provide every day. But of course, that's what I'm here for, right? Try to help my team and help us progress.
Yeah. So you're a physical notebook guy then?
I'm a physical notebook guy. Okay. I mean, maybe that plays to my age, right? Born in 78. So Lord knows you're not close to that. Yeah. But the thing is, I try to get used to a laptop, try to get used to an iPad.
Yeah.
I'm still a desktop guy. Okay. So that tells you the story. I can tell you right now, if you're a desktop guy, you're usually a book guy.
Yeah.
So just a heads up on that.
Well, just the feeling too of crossing things off is...
There is something to it because I mean, when I start a week and I put that list together of the items that are the things that I want to tackle and I cross that off, there is a certain level of like, I don't know, that you have accomplished it or you have accomplished those things. But also too, I have my ADHD brain. Okay. The way that it operates is very all over the place. So the thing is that my best ideas sometimes could be in the middle of the night, could be, whatever, could be at 8 o'clock at night. So I always have my book with me, even at home. I write it down and then I revisit it the next day.
Yeah. So it's 5 p.m. The team's heading out for the day.
Yeah.
Now you finally got a quiet hour in the office.
Yeah.
You got your quad espresso next to you. You got your notebook.
Yeah.
Is there music on? Is it silent? Like what's the...
Dead silence. Dead silence. You know what, yet again, because my brain's going like this. So for me to have that opportunity to just be like, sit, do that stuff, focus on things. And that's the hardest thing. And yet again, if you have that type of brain where it's constantly going, that's what you need. You need quiet. Also to always play basketball, hockey, things like that. Like do those things because my mind will shut off. If it shuts off for a minute, that's what I need because it's like my reset, it's my charge.
Yeah.
So then I can go into the day. And obviously it makes a big difference to my family, my kids.
Yeah.
You know, when I spend time with them, you know, I always at night, mandatory, always, you know, hug them, tell them I love them. Sometimes I just sit there and hug them for a minute or two.
Yeah.
Because for me, it's one of the reasons why I'm doing all this, right?
Yeah.
So it's important for me to do that. So that for me is almost like a reset too.
Yeah. So that little time you do have to recharge.
And sometimes you don't have a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you are working, I mean, the hours in your industry, they can be very late. You can be working until 10,
there's no set
10
hour.
PM. Yeah.
There's absolutely zero set hours.
Yeah.
I don't, like, if anybody's actually doing this job and being successful at it,
Yeah.
I hate to tell you this, but it's going to push your parameters of what you deem is acceptable.
Yeah.
And I get that probably goes against most of what we're talking about, you know, recently, you know, with people saying, well, there's boundaries and in our business, I hate to say it, if you want to be that much better, you have to get out there and you have to work, and it has to make you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And if you're not comfortable with that, it's okay. You can make a decent living, but to get to that next level, I'm sorry, like you have to put the extra time and the effort into it. Yeah. And I'm sure you guys probably are aware of this.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally.
So.
And does it transition into the morning too? Is it an early morning type?
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, I get up every morning, usually 6:30, jump on the treadmill, watch TSN, just focus, you know what I mean? Get off work for a second, just do that, recharge your batteries, and then start your day. I always walk my girls to school.
Nice.
Those are the rules I always make. Walk my girls to school, have a little conversation about what's going to go on, and then later in the day, obviously, have another conversation at the end of the day. So, yet again, that's you have certain things that won't change. Those are the things that won't change.
Yeah. And from our perspective, I see that your ethics and your work ethic transitions into your family, transitions to your team. I mean, just being in your office the other day and just, you know, feeling the buzz in the office.
Yeah.
How do you feel that, you know, your team members contribute to the success of AJS?
They definitely contribute to the success, because the thing is that what I've tried to instill in them or teach them is just to be, I guess, as passionate as I am and learn from not just my wins, but my losses as well, right? Because you're not going to win everything. I mean, I always say that, like, guys, you're not going to, there's times, right, people lose listings or they lose opportunities or lose projects. I think it's important to us also learn from those mistakes, because I've had a lot of them.
Yeah.
I mean, I've won probably more than I've lost, obviously, but the truth is that I've also lost a lot. So the thing is that you learn from your mistakes, you figure out what you should have done. I'm not a big, if everybody knows me, I'm not a complainer. Yeah. I'm not a big complainer guy. So I'm usually the one that goes to my team and say, don't talk to me about how you lost it. Let's talk about exactly why you lost it. Mm-hmm. And let's improve on that, so the next time that you're in that position, you're not going to lose it. Yeah. I think that's important. It's a good lesson to learn anyway for them. Yeah. And real estate is one of those industries too where you are an individual really working, right? So when you decided that you were going to go from an individual to a team, because, you know, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Correct. At what point did you make that transition into be like, all right, I want to build a team now? Well, when one builder became, you know, 5 or 6, you know what I mean? When that started to happen, where I had to take myself and split myself in 7 different directions. And then also too, there had to be opportunities to have like open houses, and people need to man those. And also, yet again, if I ever wanted to go anywhere ever in my life, ever take a vacation or whatever, there had to be people there that were going to take care of my clients like I was going to take care of my clients, right? So whether it be builders, whether it be, you know, clients themselves, sellers and buyers, what have you, those people need to be in my place, and they need to be like me. Not exactly like me, because of course everybody has their own traits. And that's one of the reasons why we brought some of the team members in, is that they're not all like me. They may share a certain trait or two, but they have their own way of making things happen for themselves. And it's one of the reasons why they continue to progress and be successful. And we've watched a lot of people really start with our team that were like here, and they got to here. And it was about that learning process. And I love to see it. Love to watch them grow, man. I'm the first one to be like, I hope you beat me. You know what I mean? One day, I'm be the first one to sit there and say congratulations.
Yeah. So it sounds like they all have their own unique talents and abilities, but
Absolutely.
it's really, there's a set of consistent values that you guys all
Correct.
share.
Yeah, we're all going towards a common goal, right?
Yeah.
We're all trying to, not just do well in business and obviously be successful, and money falls in place with that. But the truth is that it's not just about that. It's about everything, right? It's about how you treat people, how you treat your family, doing the right things. And it rolls right into life and the way you want to operate your business. So doing it that well, trust me, you're going to be successful.
Yeah. And I can see that when we started working together, just how everyone banded together, and even in our meetings, each person knew what their strengths were and how they're going to bring them to the table. And when everyone comes together, the end product is pretty impressive.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And it is about hiring and bringing in the right people, right? And yet again, to have those conversations even with you, knowing that you're, obviously looks like you guys are starting to be sort of the pioneer of this, especially in Windsor for sure. So it's exciting to see, even from my perspective, looking at you guys and saying, listen, that's great. If you're willing to continue doing things the way you're going to do them, I'd be happy to be involved, because obviously it looks like you guys are heading in the right direction as well. So,
yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And in any industry, the difference between good and great, what is that distinction with your team? How do you feel?
Yeah, it's obviously several things. There's lots of things that make the difference between good and great. For us, what we've always focused on is we focus on customer care, customer service, taking care of clients, concierge type service, really making sure that we take care of the client or buyer, seller, builder, developer, just making sure that we go that extra mile. And I think that's really, really important for us. It's a big, big factor for us. And I think this is why we do as well as we do, is for that particular fact. But there's there's lots of reasons, right? Why we would have a realtor that would be great versus good. Anything from communication. You've seen how quick we are on responses. Everything from just knowing market trends, hiring the right people, having the right team, whether it be photographers, videographers, social media, digital media people. So it takes a team, right? So if you do it the right way, if you're great at it, you hire the great people, and then collectively become better, obviously.
Yeah, and in a sales team, it's not just the sales people, and in a technology company, it's not just the software engineers. Right. It's the marketing, it's the branding, it's the videographers, it's the operations people, right?
It's not just one person, and I think that's the difference between good and great, right? Yeah. Good might be just one person that's doing it on their own, maybe they're doing part-time, maybe they're, they're doing the best they can, But the truth is that when you're hiring a really great realtor, a really great team, or really great, even going right to yourselves. It takes a team. It takes a family, is the way we look at it. We treat it as a family, and that's how. I'm sure that's probably how you treat it too. You get to know each other on a different level, personal level, but yet again, we're all going towards that common goal. Yeah. So it works well.
We share the same value in terms of branding and building sort of a persona and building your company around this trusted brand. And I know when we first met, I felt like I already knew you and the team because you are so present online. Right. And we're big believers in building the brand as well. When we meet our new clients, we want them to feel like they know us already. So you place an importance on branding. Can you just unpack that a little bit as to why?
Yeah, because you actually nailed it on the head. You said it really well, which is we talk about knowing people before you actually meet them, right? I think if I go back for a second, hiring the right people, bringing in the right people to bring that brand to life is very, very important. Yeah. But once that is set, now you yet again, whether it be Instagram or even some of the videos and things that we do, and sometimes you'll notice that we do some lighthearted stuff as well, because people always thought, there's lots of times that people think, well, really, maybe they're too good for me, or they're too whatever, or they do this, all these sales, whatever. Why would they want my property on, a smaller property on Droulard or whatever, whoever? But the truth is we do. And the thing is that we are not uppity, we're not snobby, all we want to do is sell houses. Yeah. And we enjoy it. and we enjoy it every day. And so the thing to me is that getting back to the marketing side or the branding side is that if you do it the right way, then people understand who you are. And yet again, so when they meet you and they realize that, yeah, I'm just here to really take care of you and make sure that we make you the most amount of money we can, or buy that house for the least amount of money we can, or obviously help you develop, build and sell. I feel like they know that we're on their side, which I think is very important, right?
Yeah. What I find really interesting about branding is sometimes it's not even about the product or about real estate. It's just, like you're saying, some of it's more lighthearted, but some of that content, we're all human, right? And we can connect with one another. So if we see content that may not be directly related to selling per se, people will still want to band around that company and be like, I, whatever they're doing, I want to work with them, right?
Yeah, so I think, and that's why we always say we don't take ourselves too seriously, right? Like, okay, yeah, sure, we do, a serious job, and there's times that we obviously get into this stuff that is serious, but the truth is that why can't you, have fun while you're helping people, you know what I mean? And that was always my dream, right? It was just really to do my job, be successful at it, but at the same time, have fun doing it, and doing it with people that are very like-minded and would enjoy it as much as I would. Yeah. That's it.
Seems like you guys are having a lot of fun doing it.
We really are, actually. We are having fun. Yeah, we're having a great time. And yet again, it's that day in, day out, like it can be a grind, right? Yeah. And so the thing is that for us to just step out for a minute, and have a good time or shoot a lighthearted video, and I think is important. It's good for us to just cut out for a second to do something that we just would kind of not necessarily real estate related, but at the same time it could be just lighthearted and fun, and just have a good time with it. Yeah.
Well, we're talking about sales teams, real estate companies stepping up their game, technology companies stepping up their game. Let's talk a little bit more about real estate development companies and the builders that you work with. How do you see them stepping up their game, and what separates some of these real estate developers from others?
Well, it's interesting, right? So we have some builders that are kind of changing or morphing what they were originally into. And, give you an example would be obviously Vola Builders as being one of them, right? They went from building just prototypical, residential real estate, which they're excellent at. I mean, good quality, everybody knows the name. But then going into, obviously things like, Edinburgh and Synergy Park, I think is a new realm for them, but it's something that is a need and a want in this city. Yeah. And, to do it with the level of quality that they're used to and the craftsmanship that they're used to is excellent, and I think someone's really going to get an excellent product, you know what I mean, from a very reputable builder in the city. That is something that I think everybody needs and wants. And I think that's what's happening is that you're finding that builders are kind of shifting, or developers are shifting into these different genres, you know what I mean, of construction, where it wasn't just residential. Now you're looking at multi-unit residential, which of course we're very equipped for. And, whether it be commercial spaces as well, these flex spaces, very, obviously we're now getting into that, which of course you're helping with. So those are the type of things that I think this is where we're getting into. There was a big push for energy conservation type stuff. That seemed to pull back a little bit because I feel like everybody stepped up their game in that, right? Yeah. So now we're getting into value. Now we're getting into value. So not just shifting on what they're building, but also what type of value can they provide? You know what I mean? Can we get more into, and even right now, I'm trying to work on something right now, trying to get into affordable housing. You know what I mean? Can we create something that even for, Windsor, Essex County as a whole, what type of things do they need? You know what I mean? So even we are actually thinking ahead. I always say, try to think 2-3 steps ahead, where we're starting to think hey, what can we provide? Yeah. You know what I mean? What builders can provide? How can they change things for even us locally? And this is what we're getting into right now. Yeah. So there's a good shift and a move there.
Well, when you're talking about shifting and moving, I think the ability to be agile. I think is so important. And a lot of these real estate developers who are understanding that I need to move with the market, right? If I was really good at building this one type of product, but that product's not selling this year or for the next 5 years, I need to pivot.
Yeah,
I need to move.
And we had to, right? Within the last 2 years, right? With interest rates going up, the market demand starts to shift, right? All of a sudden you go from $1 million properties plus, like I was selling quite a few at $1.8 million, $1.7 million, $2 million, like whatever. That was a lot of that was selling. That was a good market share for us. But then as the market drifted, because of the interest rates, then you had to, I don't want to say reinvent yourself, but you have to create different ways to build, make money, and for the same thing for the builders as well, right? They got to find a way to fit into these areas. So that to me is next. And I think you're going to see this over the next 3-4 years, even 5 years. You're going to see this. A lot of multi-family, multi-unit, talking about ADUs, whatever. You're starting to see that, and I think if there's a little bit, maybe even help with the government, maybe HST, GST, something they can do there building-wise or create incentives. I think those are the type of things too that would help us move forward with affordability. And that's the big word right now is affordability. So to me, that's where it's going. I think we have to create product that meets that market. That smaller market.
The flex space is sort of a new phenomenon. I mean, we've done 4 flex space projects in the last few months. It seems to be very new, very exciting, very fresh. Can you just kind of explain to some people listening, what is a flex space and why is it so valuable?
Yeah, so flex spaces is interesting, right? Because you've got a lot of different businesses, whether it be, let's just say you're a gym operator, a chiropractor, let's just say you're heating, cooling, or electrical or plumbing, and very different, varying businesses. If you're looking for something that you could get into that, because a lot of people don't want to lease per se. This is something you could buy, which is awesome. But I think it's the ability to have that flex space where you can create your own, right? You can do whatever you wish to do. If you want to make it into more offices, if you want to make it into more of a space where, even for personal use, you know what I mean? You want to have a couple cars, a boat, you know what I mean? You put, or just a place to hang out with friends. This is the point of the flex space, is that it's sort of one of those spaces that, yet again, if you're a business, personal, what have you, you can kind of make it and mold it to your own. And I mean, it's nice too, because yet again, when the builders are building it, they can build it out for you if you want, but you could also do it yourself as well. So if I mean, as long as within code, mind you, but truth is as long as you're doing it that way, I think it's a great thing. I think it's a great thing. I think it's a good option for people that don't want to lease these generic everyday spaces, office spaces, whatever. They see the usual stuff we've always seen. I think it's something it's going to do really, really well, and I think it's already doing well.
Well, it's funny because you spend just as much time at your office, if not more, than you do at your own home. We spend all this money customizing, making our homes beautiful, but we kind of put office space on the back burner for a long time, just accepted what was available. Right?
And honestly, I would have done a flex space if that was something that was available to me at the time when we did our build out. I mean, I love my space. I would not change it. But the truth is that type of flex space would have worked perfectly for me as well. So even as a real estate office. So yet again, when you're getting mechanical and then RMTs, but then you're also you can do real estate stuff out of it. I mean, that's where I think is the best thing for options in terms of options.
And you mentioned if you were to build an office like that on your own, say your own separate standalone building. I mean. The affordability to be in a flex space versus building it on your own is just...
I mean, a price per square foot, right? What you're going to pay in terms of lease. And we were, actually, to be honest, we were just having this conversation this morning, actually, talking about, we may actually shoot a video, maybe we'll bring you for it. But on the idea that leasing versus buying. And it was funny because we were talking exactly that, saying, well, why is this so important? I said, well, because the truth is that for us to go buy a building, for most businesses, whether you're selling cupcakes or you know what I mean? You're not going to buy a building, you know what I mean, to do that. But the truth is that if you create an affordable space, let's just say, for example, if I could do 1,000 square feet at $400,000, and then I have the option to like increase or add on to that, mezzanine, this and that, to me, I think that is great value. And then the beauty part is that if you own the space, least you own it.
Yeah.
Right? And then so your build out cost, all the money that went into that build out, that's an asset.
Yeah.
Versus like a lease is more of a liability,
Yeah.
right? Because, when I'm done that lease, I walk out, I get nothing.
Yeah.
Versus owning the space, I actually have an asset.
Yeah.
So to me, it's that to me is the key to it.
And it's very unique that you can buy in, not only buy it, but you can also customize it, right? Make it your own.
Right.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I mean, the fact is whether you want to do concrete floors or you want to do, nice vinyl, you want to do even hardwood, that's the beauty part. Mm-hmm. You have the option to do whatever you wish to do. It's awesome.
And just a bit of a play on words of I love the name Synergy Park.
Sure.
I think that was your team who maybe coined that, but
we threw it out there.
Yeah.
So I think we ended up sending the Evola family a multitude of options, and that was obviously one of the options. But they had kind of gone with something like they sort of wanted business park, but settled on Synergy Park, which I think is perfect.
Yeah.
I didn't like the idea, and I don't think they did either, of including the business part aspect of it, because it's all business anyway. We all know that. But I think it's the idea of the synergy, which is beautiful.
Yeah.
This combination of everything coming together. That's perfect. That's exactly what we want.
Speaking with Matt and the team over at Evola, is just like how cool it is that there's such a multitude of businesses that are interested, right?
Yes.
Everything from RMTs to doctor's offices to cafes to gyms to contractors. Like, how cool will that be to have all these complementary businesses in one space?
I think it's perfect because, as you say, complementary. I think that's a great word. I think it is perfect. Location is excellent. I think it's one of the reasons why when we bid on that space, and don't kid yourself, we had to beat out another party to actually get that vacant property. But when we did it, we knew what we were getting, because ideally it was the location, which I think is key. You know what I mean? Because it's kind of South Windsor, but sort of on, the verge of Howard right there in between. And so it's in a great spot. And I think so most people are looking at it saying, hey, we can use it as an office front. At first we weren't sure. We thought maybe some offices, but now it actually seems like we're getting quite a bit of office type people that are contacting us, and that honestly, that's excellent. That's exactly what we wanted. Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah, we're also firm believers in flex spaces as well. We will be moving into a flex space ourselves.
So there you go.
We obviously love our space, but just that idea of ownership, as you were mentioning, is having an asset rather than a liability and being able to customize it.
And honestly, same as us. I think if yet again, we've got some years left on our lease, but of course, if we're in a position to do it, it's exactly what we would do too. Because I think in that situation, it would be perfect. Even for us, I like the idea of that loft feel. It's what we're in now. I love that. Goes with our aesthetic look and all of our branding. So, I mean, to me, it suits it. It's perfect. Same for you guys. You seem to have the same appearance and look as us. I guess in what you guys are doing, it's the same as us.
We're more similar than we think.
Correct.
So it seems like too, whether we're in good times, bad times, whether you're selling condos or it's flex spaces, at the end of the day, the buyer's coming first, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's the market telling you? And now the new expectations that buyers have, right, is they want everything right away, right? They want to be able to understand full transparency as to what they're buying. They want visualization of what the future is going to look like. So the expectations of the buyer, do you feel like from your 20 years in real estate, how have the expectations changed from the buyer?
Well, I mean, this is why one of the reasons you guys come in, right, is that I think it's about creating a visual of the spaces that they are looking for. And that's in all real estate. So whether it be in these flex spaces that we're talking about, or whether it be even in a condo building, having the opportunity to actually physically kind of walk through the space, even going to the point of choosing flooring, choosing cabinets, things like that. I think that's where the mix of technology, I feel like, is kind of coming into play, where I think it's extremely helpful, where those clients and customers that are in that position, that they can do that. And I think in terms of the level of expectation for the buyer, it's like, it is an expectation now, right? Like I think those type of tools are almost expected, right? Where they expect those tools to be readily available in these type of developments. I mean, frankly, this is what we have to do. We need to step up And I mean, obviously, we have no issue doing it because we're going into it with open arms, knowing that it's a tool and it's a beneficial tool for obviously things moving forward. I think it's a great tool. And yet again, in terms of expectation, I think that expectation is just that. And then beyond that, of course, it's the level of service, right? So if we're talking about the expectation of a buyer or a seller, it is all the things that we just talked about, what the difference is between good and great. Those expectations now have become, we want great. We need to see great. And so yet again, we've always maintained that we plan on continuing to provide that. And so if that's going to be the expectation of the buyer, fantastic. We're already doing it. We're already there. And that just means more business for us. I'm good with that.
And it seems like that level of service was your edge in the early days to get you off the ground, was that level of high touch service that you had, right?
We joke about it, but yet again, I mean, starting at Spago way back in the day and serving tables, but the truth is that like, and I still to this day love that as experience, by the way, on a resume. You know, if you provide, like to me, like if you're in a position, you're always in a position to think on your feet. You're coming across problems constantly. It's what you do with that problem. And you have to problem solve like that in your own head. Can't just go to somebody and try to figure it out. To me, I think is very, very, it's a positive. And then on top of that, dealing with many, many, many different personalities. Right? You don't know who you're getting through, walking through the door. Well, it's the same thing as real estate, right? You don't, whether it be building condos and flex spaces, residential, or just selling residential resale, you don't know who you're getting on the other side of that phone, email, text, whatever. You don't know that personality, right? Whether it be different nationalities, everything, right? So the difference is that you learn how to handle people, deal with people, and you learn that truth is there's a common thread, which is just provide excellent service, just treat them as great as you would, like you would your family, and they'll feel that. They'll feel that, and then they're going to be naturally, they'll naturally strive or go towards you, right? To use you or continue to use you. So, no reason not.
And that word of mouth is so strong too, in terms of when you've already built that trust with someone and somebody else trusts that person, it just creates this network effect.
1000%. And that is still how we do the most of our business, even though we do all this marketing, advertising, all this stuff. We spend all this money on stuff, but believe it or not, our number one opportunity for business is referral based. Still referral based. Classic, good old text, phone call, whatever. That's still our number one. So, and that's a good indicator of obviously what we're doing as a business.
Now, before you had technology and you're selling new construction and you're sitting with the buyer, you're obviously providing that high level of service. You're looking at a set of drawings. What was it that you helped give the buyer confidence to be like, hey, what you're buying is the right thing?
I mean, first, if you go to new home construction, I think the idea was, and this goes to more my brain and how it operates, is that I'm a visual person and I can see things in my head, right? Whether it be a layout, floor plan, finishes, all that stuff. I have the ability, and I try to obviously process that information and provide it to the buyer. I notice that they do trust me, where they say, well, as long as you think it'll look good, or whatever. And they do trust me, so which is great. But I think if you're sitting down with them and you're trying to sell them on the idea that they're going to purchase, openly and honestly, you're not going to push anybody to buy. It's one thing that I can honestly say we never have ever done. We're not pressure. We are no pressure people. Provide them with all the information. Get them to understand why it's a good deal, but ultimately it's their decision. The only difference is that when there's crazy good deal, what I mean? Where honestly, you can't do any better than this. I mean, there's obviously times that we look at them and say, guys, I can't do any better than this. This is an excellent deal. If you don't want it, that's no problem. There's somebody behind you here. They're coming. Those are the only times that we're ever in a position where we have to apply a little bit of pressure, because honestly, in that point, it is the right decision for them. We know that. We do know it is the best deal on the table. So I think as long as we're providing the information to them, we're walking them through the process, they understand the worst things, the best things, 9 times out of 10, they're going in the right direction. They're going to buy. They're going to buy that property, or they're going to make that sale, or we're going to make the sale. And the reason is because we're doing the right thing for them. There's no question. In our head, we know we're doing the right thing.
Yeah, doing the right thing, treating it almost as if it were your own purchase.
Correct. Right? Yeah, I mean, if it was me, this is how I'd handle it.
Right.
And there's numerous times, like, honestly, people will look at me and they'll say, well, like, would you do this deal? And I'd be like, listen, like, yet again, I would maybe tweak this or do this or add this. And this is just more for future added value down the road. Like yet again, if someone was building and I said, okay, you may want to add a great entrance. Yeah, I know I don't need one. I understand you don't need one, but the truth is that down the road, when you go to resell, based upon this area, based upon what these typically sell for, I'm telling you right now, the last 10 I sold all had great entrances. I'm telling you now, this will help you in the future. Or do this, or roughen a kitchen in the basement. Do it now. It's cheaper. You could a lot harder to do later. You know what I mean? So stuff like that, we obviously try to help with, because we really are. We're not trying to upsell. It's not like how much money am I going to make off that. It's more about, I know down the road they'll call me and they'll say, Andrew, you know what? I'm glad you talked me into that, because that was smart. You know, we're in a better position, or hey, and my mom ended up living with us, you know what I mean? So we wanted the ability to have that second kitchen, or a great entrance, or third bay on a garage, or things like that. I mean, it just, those are the type of things that add value. But really, in the whole grand scheme of things, don't cost a lot of money. So it's helpful.
And having you as that person to rely on for that information, and your whole team, right? Is just, when you're dealing with professionals in any industry, you want to just be able to call them up and, is this the best decision? What do you recommend in this situation?
And we're not going to lead them astray. Like there's no reason to. I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, if we know that we have the sale any which way, we're never going to be, it doesn't matter anyway, even that, we're not going to sway anybody one way or the other. I think the difference is that if we truly believe that it's the right decision for them, or it's a crazy great deal, or yet again, you know, some cases, like for example, we have some excellent specials in LaSalle right now where we have half off the basements. Like you're like, okay, well, if you're going to do a basement, might be the right time, you know what I mean? Because you're going to take advantage of this special, right? Market's a little bit slower. Usually the winter months, we offer incentives. So take advantage of that. Because guess what? We sell 2-3 houses. That incentive is bye-bye. And then you don't have that ability to negotiate. So even in that, right, we try to help our customers or clients understand that this is the right time. Let's try to negotiate the best possible deal for you. Ultimately, the builder wants to sell to a point. Let's try to negotiate the best deal for you. It just makes sense.
Well, this has been super helpful. And very, very valuable information that you have just from your experience. Really appreciate it. How can people get in touch with you, whether they're clients, they're new builders looking to work with you, or they're young Spago employees who want jobs in real estate? Like,
that's it. I mean, obviously we have our socials. Obviously, the Team AJS social. Obviously through just our typical website, email, cell phone, this and that. Other than that, Google.
You're on.
We've got 17 different ways to get in touch with us. But I mean, obviously, Instagram, even through Facebook, which is a little bit more my generation, by the way. But even that, messages constantly, we constantly get messages. And honestly, that's a great way to get in touch with us. And this way they can take a look at some of our socials, take a look at some of the stuff that we've done, whether it be developments or builders, or even just representing sellers, the type of services and things that we offer. It's all on there. So Beauty Part is, you can review, take a look at it, let us know if we're the right ones for you.
Well, I know I speak on behalf of the Scelta team when we say that we're excited for the current developments we have on the go together and the future ones that we have in the pipeline.
So am I, my friend, so am I. And I know you're going to do your part. I know we're going to do our part. So I think it's a great synergy, if you will. Look at that.
Great way to close.
You brought that in there.
Yeah.